Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, we've seen a great winning streak for this Suns team, and right now we're smack dab in the middle of a pretty ugly losing streak, which begs the question, which was more real? Which told us more about this Suns team? We'll debate it next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back in to Locked On Suns. I'm Brendon, Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen to kick off your Friday and close out your week. Happy Friday. Don't forget, Locked On Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button wherever you're finding us to do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Joining me, as always, from the Wild West Valley, my fellow Suns credentialed media member. How are we feeling on this Friday, Ben Garcia?
I know that we're in the middle of a losing streak, and being a Suns fan isn't super fun right now, but I love doing these. God, I just love talking Suns. It's so fun. And then being able to debate these things every night, it's so great. And at the end of the day, we are going to be okay. No one's going to remember this losing streak maybe the losing streak, but no one's going to remember a specific loss 4 months from now. We're going to be just fine. So I'll throw it back over to you, but I'm all right. Festive. And all we're doing is going up against Thursday Night Football, which is awful tonight. So we're the biggest show in town.
You got your lights up for the holiday season right behind you.
You like that little touch? It's been there for
Yeah.
about a week now, but nice.
I
little
have some
touch.
lights. We found some extras we didn't put up, but I don't really know how to put it up with my setup, and you can barely see anything I have up because the wall's too far away. Today's episode, guys, brought to you by Robinhood Gold, which provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Okay. So I'm looking at the schedule for this Suns season so far, Ben, and we have a 7-game winning streak and a 5-game losing streak. Which do you think was a more accurate representation of what this Suns team actually is? We know all the injuries. We're not dumb, guys. But there's been some extremes on either end, Ben. So which one do you think is closer to the truth?
God, I love this question. And as I was kind of debating it back and forth today, and I was thinking about it, I don't think it's even debatable. When this team is healthy, they're one of the best teams in the NBA. And that 7-game win streak or whatever it was to start the season, I think you had just said it was 7.
Yeah.
That's what I think this team is, man. With Budenholzer's creative offense, this team defensively, which was playing pretty good to start the season, I don't think it was a fluke. I don't think it was they just got lucky in some late games against the Mavericks, maybe got away with a push-off, or Nurkic hitting a last-second free throw, or in the Clippers and the Mavericks games. I think this is what this team is, man. I think they're one of the best teams in the NBA, and I don't really understand the overreactive Suns fan. Now, again, fan is short for fanatic, and they're allowed to overreact, but it does feel like overreacting, where I get being upset after a game. Like last night, I was pissed because it was just an irritating effort to have to watch, combined with the fact that game went super late, and I was just annoyed by all of it. But I've had 24 hours to think about it. This team is just fine. They're next Tuesday when they beat the Lakers and they got everyone healthy again. We're all going to talk about, oh, that's right. That's what this team is. What about you? Do you think we're closer to the 5-game losing streak team, or do you think we're closer to the 7-game winning streak?
Before I just fully agree with you, I will provide a little bit of balance here. Because one of the things that I really try not to do for our lovely everydayers and everybody who watches the show is listens to the show, is that I don't want to back off of how I did feel in that moment, right? Last night we were mad, and I wrote a whole thing about it in the Locked On Suns daily newsletter, which you can check out wherever you're listening, in the link in the show description, and read that article and everything else. We talked about it plenty on the show, and I want to believe that, even though it sucks to feel that way, that the effort at times has not been good enough. And I do tuck that away a little bit. I give that some space to exist in my mind. But everything else tells me that win streak and overall just the start to the season was real. Those close wins, they've already almost been balanced out by a bunch of close losses. Like, this is not just some fluky, lucky thing. I think the Suns just executed well more times than they didn't. But we've also seen them lose a close one to the Kings, lose a close one to the Wolves. It's not like they've just been batting 1,000 on those. And so that actually makes me feel better that it wasn't just that luck. Also, they played some really good teams at the beginning of the season. It wasn't beating up on nobodies.
Gauntlet, man. Gauntlet.
You know? So it's like I'm going to trust my instincts on that when you're beating, you're at the building opener for a Clippers team that's feisty, and you beat them again for good measure, and you beat Dallas 2 different times, and, take advantage of a Portland and a Philadelphia, yes, but, get some revenge on the Lakers in there. And like, those are all wins that I think are pretty quality. The Heat, who, they're not a terrible team. They're pretty competitive, and they gave the Suns a lot of trouble last year. So that I believe. And 2 of the biggest questions I had coming into the season were proven out in both directions, good and bad, during that initial stretch, and they came through it. The good is, what can Kevin Durant look like? Can he be even better than last year? Is, the father time question that's always lingering over a Steph, a LeBron, a KD. He put that to bed and looked even better than last year and is clicking with Bud's offense better than ever. And then on the bad side, they had Jusuf Nurkic being benched and playing terribly, and all of us, ripping our hair out. And yet, what did they do? They just won every single game in spite of all of that. So I have a hard time looking at that win streak and poking holes in it, despite how almost every single game went down to the wire. Like, the stats will make you think, blow somebody out and we'll believe it. But we watch those games, and I do believe it.
Well, I also think, so something you had mentioned, the gauntlet thing is so true. If you said at the beginning of the season, which is what I always like to refer to, hey, the Suns are going to play the Kings, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Magic, and the Knicks. Now they're going to play the Magic without Paolo Banchero, but you're going to play those games without Bradley Beal, some without Jusuf Nurkic, one without Grayson Allen, and Kevin Durant. You would say at the beginning of the season, I hope they just win one of those. Well, they won one of those. Well, no, they didn't. They lost all 5. So you go through that stretch and you're like, well, listen, we should be happy that they had this 7-game winning streak, that they were able to give themselves some comfort. Last year, they gave themselves no room for error. Now, when KD and Bradley Beal come back, there technically is room for error, but not really. Like, you kind of lost all that after that. And then you look at this schedule.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Grayson Allen, Jusuf Nurkic. And if you beat the Lakers, I expect you to beat the Nets. You have a really good test against the Warriors at home. But then you get the Spurs, the Pelicans, the Heat, the Magic, the Pacers, the Pistons. You're talking about a schedule that is very favorable, and you could be looking back at this team, just not going to do the math right in front of me, but you could look back at this team and say, whoa, what the heck? They're 14-7 after so many games. So
sure,
this team's fine, man. This team's fine, and we saw what they were when everyone was healthy. The only question is, can they stay healthy? That's the only question.
Yeah, someone pointed out in our comments on the recap show of the Wednesday night loss to the Knicks, which you can check out in the feed if you didn't already, that I convinced you that the Suns could go 3-3 in this stretch. You were at 2-4, and they ended up 1-5. So both of us were actually too optimistic, me more so. But what I will say, too, though, kind of to add more fuel to our argument here, is a lot of these games were on the road. And I feel like I just expect them to win more home games. So them losing some of these games, like maybe if that Minnesota game's at home, Julius Randle actually gets called for the travel, for instance, and like some of that
definitely a loose home whistle during that game. But
yeah, and you start to add them up and everything. So yeah, I think that when, like you said at the beginning, this team does get healthy, they will be right back to what they were at the beginning of the season, which, again, still have questions about their center spot. Still do want to see them blow somebody out. Like, that is a valid thing to want here, and I do want it. But I buy what we saw. And looking even further out, skipping a whole month here, if you ever need to feel better about this Suns team, whether it's you, Ben, or anybody listening, go look at their January schedule. Just go look at their January schedule. They have 2 games against the Hornets, 2 games against the Hawks, 2 games against the Wizards, a Pistons, a Jazz.
Holy cow.
It is about the most cupcake, nothing burger of a schedule that a team could have over the course of a month.
You got the Cavs, but have days off before.
Yeah, I didn't even say the Nets. The Nets are in there. You got the Clippers again, who the Suns have already beaten.
I can just list a couple of them off. The Pacers, the Sixers, who are awful, the Hornets, the Hawks, the Jazz, the Hornets, the Hawks, the Wizards, the Pistons, the Cavs, which are really tough, the Nets, the Wizards, Clippers, Timberwolves, who are good, and the Warriors.
Yeah. So it's not like they're going to go undefeated. They're going to be favored in like 75-80% of those games.
If you that could be a 12-4 stretch. And I think that's being not as optimistic because I'm just assuming they lose to the Warriors or assuming they lose to the
Cavs
to the
or
Wolves,
something.
and they could beat those teams. And the Cavs who were 16 at 15-0 to start the season. Ridiculous.
These moments are going to be when they beef up. For now, we are left a little bit one side or the other, but Ben and I are going to choose to be believers. Next up, what to do about that frustrating competitive spirit that we did see falter in that Knicks game, and how can this team get back on track? We'll talk through what Bud and Nurk had to say about that very topic after the game, coming up next. First, today's show is brought to you by Chime. That's right. If you like saving money, you like Chime. Take control of your finances by using a Chime checking account with features like no maintenance fees, fee-free overdraft up to $200, or getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Learn more at chime.com/NBA. When I was in college, I think I overdrafted about 40 times. I don't know about you, Ben, but when you're trying to make ends meet. No, not 40, but a lot. Look, I mean, not by hundreds of dollars, but you don't like to have to think about it. And Chime helps you make progress with fee-free overdraft up to $200. Your next deposit is applied to your balance. You get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals, and you get no monthly fees or maintenance fees. It's not anything extreme, but the little nickel and diming here and there just because you forget, crap, I went like $3 over. I didn't realize I should have moved the money from the savings, or I should have waited to buy that till I got paid, or whatever your case might be. Set up direct deposit in your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200 or more, Chime will notify you to enroll in Spot Me with an activated debit card. Chime will spot you, as they call it, up to $200 when you exceed your balance. Your next direct deposit is applied directly to that negative balance, and Chime never charges fees or interest for using Spot Me. So make your fall finances a little greener by working toward your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/NBA. That's chime.com/NBA. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. Today's episode, guys, also brought to you by the Game Time app, the best place to buy any ticket. Ben, I feel almost like I shouldn't even ask you this because I feel like the answer is no based on our Grateful Dead conversation recently and the movie conversation we were just having before this, but are you a comedy guy? You into comedy? Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted, but you're looking at Game Time right now.
I'm literally on my Game Time app right now. I am a big comedy guy. I've been to like 2 or 3 comedy shows in my life. Is that a big comedy? I like comedy. I like laughing.
Well, yeah, we live in a
city
that's not
going to overdraft my
it,
bank account to do it, unlike someone else I know.
If
Holy
you
cow.
wanted to avoid that, you go to Chime, but now you're here to Game Time, and you're going to buy those tickets. I just saw that Stavros Halkias is coming in March, and he's a big comic that people like. Yeah, not a comedy guy, I guess, Ben. I think I just answered my own question there. He will be at the Celebrity Theater. I have the pre-sale already literally up on a tab on my screen, but I think I might be late, and I might need to go to Game Time. Good thing is I'm not worried at all because the Game Time picks are going to put the best value deal right at the top of my screen when I do get into the app to go ahead and buy those tickets that Ben is not going to be going to the show with me for because he has no clue who that person is. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets just like me and Ben right now with those Phoenix sports games up on his app with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA when you do to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time.
Alrighty. Let's keep it rolling here, Ben. Reminder again to sign up for the Locked On Suns daily newsletter. Click that link in the show description. Type your email address in. Support the show. Get great content. Catching up on the Suns in the NBA every day. What's up?
Did you see that they put out like a big promo for the Locked On newsletter, and there was like a video?
We weren't in it.
Yeah, we were not in that.
We do such a good job of telling the people about the great email content they can get, and they just skipped right over us.
They expected me to retweet that. They didn't even talk about the point where I went after other cities like stupid Milwaukee, and no one goes there, or any of these Midwest. Seriously, we could just get rid of like 30 states and no one would care. I'm just being honest with you. We could. No one would care.
We'll save you naming the 30 for a different show, maybe later in the season.
Well, when's the last time you've been to South Dakota? You've never been there.
No,
one
the
cares.
Dakotas could be one state.
Yeah,
there's two of them. We only need one. Yeah,
we don't need two Carolinas.
Well, there's a lot of people in both of those places.
I couldn't care less. Get rid of both of them.
All right, so Mike Budenholzer post-game was asked about the competitive spirit of this team that Ben and I were upstairs complaining about while he was talking, probably. And he said, quote, "The group is good. I think overall the competitive spirit, the things we've leaned on, while we can always be better, we've got a group that is competitive. We've got a group that will stay together. It's the things that we all talk about." And then he continued, "Losing is hard. The league is hard. We've got to fight through it, compete our way through it. While there are things we need to work on and improve, competitiveness has been in a good place when we were winning, and I would say the same while we're struggling. The guys know how important competing is." Ben, I think on the whole, I agree. I think the Knicks game, it was maybe frustrating because it was an aberration, because it was like, what is going on here? This is uncharacteristic. Does this mean something is wrong? But as long as next week they come out, whether KD and Beal are back or not, and at least the fight is there again, like you were saying at the beginning, I'll just forget about that game, that it ever happened, and be right back to feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree with you that it was a little bit of an, aberration in that sense, but it happened twice. That Magic game was bad too, man. You can chop that up too, though, which I'm willing to say this is, well, you lose that game to the Magic because you're coming off of a game against the Timberwolves that was a highly emotional game that you lost. We see that almost all the time. In a lot of sports, a lot of the times the betting market goes, which, by the way, I lost everyone their money that took +6 against the Knicks the other night, which we'll just try not to talk about that. Oops. Maybe don't take my betting advice again. But oftentimes when teams lose or win a highly emotional game, bettors, the sharp money will come in on the opposing team because they're coming in emotional. Now, you could say that about the Magic game, and it'd be easier to have that argument if they didn't get blown out in that Knicks game too. I'm not worried about this team not having competitive fight or a competitive, anything. But it's early in the season. Injuries were a problem. They were frustrated. The first week of the season's over. The adrenaline rush. Now you're in the thick of it. And really, man, the best way I can kind of compare last night is it looked like they knew they had 6 days off and they were ready to use every bit of them, and they just wanted to get done with that game. Not a good excuse, but it feels like it's just a reason what happened last night. I don't think Kevin Durant is going to stop caring about basketball when he comes back, and I think that's infectious, and I think that is a part of Kevin Durant's leadership on the court that I do like that this team has missed.
Yeah, I guess to your point, you probably could throw that Kings game in here as kind of a clunker. Mm-hmm. They just got ran out of the gym. De'Aaron Fox went off, and the Kings made more than half their threes, and the ball was moving, and the Suns just had no answer for any of that. That was the Josh Okogie goes off game for anybody who needs a reminder there. And so it has happened multiple times. But last night, the Wednesday game against the Knicks was the time where I think I really was worried. The other ones, I guess I could come up with some reasons, right? Second night of a back-to-back, or hey, the Kings are just really freaking good, or whatever it might be on the road, whatever. Also, second night of a back-to-back in that Kings game. Whereas this Knicks one, I mean, like you just said, we can joke about the betting thing, but I also went into that game feeling like they could be competitive and maybe win it. I didn't think they would or anything, but I thought it should be pretty close, and it was the exact opposite, and it was the worst one of this whole stretch. So, again, got to see a response. Take advantage of these days off. Hopefully, get some reinforcements from the injured list and really make this happen. But, on to what Jusuf Nurkic said. He said it's great for our team to see what we're down for, how we answer and challenge ourselves. It's always fun when you're winning and having nice days, but it's the NBA season. You're going to have ups and downs. If they lay an egg next week, it starts to feel more like a pattern. And at some point you gotta react to it, but maybe that is also just my PTSD from last season talking. And I think that's how a lot of Suns fans feel, is like, okay, even if it's just the Knicks game, well, it's the Knicks game plus like 50 of them last year, and not a ton of this roster has changed. So I think people have that built in, and I think a lot of people next Tuesday will be wanting to see a very strong effort with or without KD, with or without Brad, from this team to show us that they have the mettle that we're looking for here.
The only thing that I think is fair to compare last season and this season is injuries, because that is always what's going to follow this team, whether it's Book, whether it's Brad, whether it's KD, although I'd argue KD isn't really injury prone, and Devin Booker never has any major injuries. That is the only thing I think is fair to compare to last year. You said that it's mostly the same roster, and I guess Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, and the big three, but a lot of the toxicity came off of a bench that was just awful, man. And an Eric Gordon that was just irritating to deal with on a night in,
By the way,
basis.
he leaked the team only meeting, right? Or the players only meeting in Philly.
Oh my goodness, I didn't think of that. Because you and I both had the
Sixers
idea.
fans, he's like prime suspect.
They already hate him?
Well, they think he leaked it. Yeah, basically.
Well, the Suns last year. And you and I both thought it was
he did the same thing here.
Well, I thought you had said as well, we thought that it was Isaiah Thomas. Why would Eric Gordon leak that?
No, I didn't think it was Isaiah Thomas.
You did.
I feel like if you said that, I was joking.
No. You did say Eric Gordon. You said his name rhymes with Schmerin Schmorten or something like that.
Yeah. It was him. I mean, I'm almost sure of it, because he was the guy who went to Chris Haynes about wanting more touches early in the season, and then
oh my goodness, why would he do that?
He just seemed to be kind of at odds with the stars on the team. Came in thinking he maybe was going to be the hot shot. We're not locked on Sixers, but it is funny to laugh at that from afar.
No, we would never be locked on Sixers. It's terrible. Not the show, but the team. Not the show. The show, I'm sure, are great people. I don't know either of them. But
I would never want to cover the Sixers.
No, I would never want to cover that god-awful team and Joel Embiid. But yeah, no, I think a lot of that toxicity you had mentioned as well. It's a really good point. Yeah. Eric Gordon, a prime suspect for potentially leaking that players-only meeting. And the Suns meeting, or the Suns issues that got leaked literally immediately after the Timberwolves sweep last year. So it's just a different team, man. And Suns fans and media members and us, we have to flush out that season, man. Different head coach, a lot of different role players. So I think this team's going to be fine.
I would put it a slightly different way, which is that they need to continue to prove that they're not that team. And I guess building a little bit off of our conversation in the last segment, I'm not ready to say one way or the other yet. I don't think that they are. They've proven all the fourth quarter and clutch stuff that we were, celebrating throughout that first stretch is a great step toward not being that team. But a lot of the players are similar, and so I think that, let's get to December, January, halfway point, and I will start to say, okay, that's not what this is anymore, but I think we're still evaluating, in my opinion. All right, let's jump to the news of the day, which is a little bit of an affirmation from Mat Ishbia that the Suns, in fact, do still plan to sign Kevin Durant to an extension next summer. But he also posed an interesting question of whether Durant finishes his career in the Valley. It's something we've all wondered for a while. Could it be real? We'll get there next. First, today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for just the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up now at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, Ben, let's close it out here. So Mat Ishbia went on ESPN on NBA Today. The full video is on YouTube if you want to check it out at home. And spoke with Shams Charania. Talked about a few things, being a new owner. A lot of it was stuff we had heard before, but one of the nuggets that Ishbia did expand upon a little bit was the intention to sign KD to an extension next summer. And he had kind of talked around this at Media Day, and we all assumed, reading between the lines, hey, the over 38 rule, the CBA, kind of semantic, obnoxious stuff, but a 1-year deal now versus a 2-year deal next summer, just wait, cross your fingers that nothing goes wrong between the relationship or his health or anything, knock on wood there. We've been on a good track with all of that, and the extension will come. But then Ishbia also added, we expect Kevin to sign an extension, be with us for the long term, and we hope he finishes his career here in Phoenix. Do you think that's going to happen? What do you think, Ben?
No, I don't think he finishes his career in Phoenix. I mean, I think he gets a contract extension, but what is Kevin Durant? 36. He'd get a 2-year extension, if I'm not mistaken. That'd put him at 38. No. I think at 38 years old, when that contract runs out, I think Kevin Durant will still be a viable player, but I have to draw the line somewhere. I don't think he's going to be an all-NBA caliber player, and potentially at that point in his career, I don't know what the NBA looks like, but he could be a valuable older piece on a team that just needs another guy, not off the bench, but like just another scorer or someone that can play a little bit. Maybe he's a 15-point-a-game guy. At that point in his career, I don't think he's washed, and who knows? The Suns just might not be there, and this is the NBA where players move all the time. If you ask me right now, I don't think Devin Booker finishes his career with the Suns.
That's a lot longer. I mean, they're 8 years different in age. You're talking about 8 more years of time of uncertainty. So I might agree with you there. But one correction, just so that the people know, because I wanted to make sure we got it right, and I should have said it at the beginning, but if he signs an extension next summer, he still has 1 year on his deal left. So it would actually be 3 years. So he would get to 39. And I guess the pushback that I would have there is, so you're basically saying that they might just be in a position where paying what they would be paying for, some kind of decreased version just because of age and natural, evolution of everything. It just might not make sense for them to be committed to that anymore. Is that kind of the nutshell?
Yeah, I don't think he'll want to be here. I'm just assuming that this is the iteration of a Suns team that needs to win a championship, and if they don't, they're going to go into some sort of a rebuild or a retool, which isn't exactly going to be a NBA championship contender, potentially 3 years from now. Listen, I don't know. Maybe whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Luka comes and joins Booker or something insane happens. Like I don't know.
I don't even think Suns fans would want that at this point. I think they would disown the team.
Oh, I would. I love Luka Doncic. I love Luka. But anyways, that was my own personal thing, throwing it out there. I don't love Luka when he plays the Suns, but anyways. No, I'm just saying that like at 39, who knows? He could be a valuable expiring deal. Like, no. I don't think anyone in the NBA right now is currently finishing their career with said team, because the NBA, everyone is moving around. Outside of Steph Curry, I don't think anyone's safe. And I don't even think Steph Curry's safe at times. But whatever.
Yeah, I hear you. But I mean, it's not like we're saying KD, is he going to finish his career with the Thunder and like never change teams? He's already changed teams, and he chose to come here in his mid-30s, knowing that a contract decision was coming in a couple years. And I remember even talking about it at the time that he got traded here of imagining a world where he would, retire here and kind of what that would mean and everything else. Because I would think that when he's engineering his way here with 4 years left on his contract and a youngish roster, or at least a young core with Book here, that he probably had that in mind. So I tend to think it's pretty possible. If that were to happen, just to play it out, he will have played 5 full seasons in Phoenix, and that the second, half of 2023 when he got traded here. That would be more than Brooklyn, more than Golden State. That would be the second longest tenured place that he had played. Maybe that's important to him. As for the Suns side of it, as far as I'm in lockstep with you that if they were to underwhelm this year and potentially next year, and they're a very expensive team and all that sort of stuff, I mean, it's just how things work in any sport, in any context. The team is going to have to look at how do you reset? What does it look like when you're cash strapped and draft picked out and all the sorts of things that the Suns are? Of course, we're going to be talking about Beal first, and then Durant and Booker, and hard decisions there. I mean, that's just the reality. But if they can stay in a competitive space that is manageable, I kind of think they're in a situation where Durant's going to be here as long as he wants to be here. I don't think that, short of him getting frustrated or, them getting swept in the first round again, and it's just this is not working, I just don't think you trade Kevin Durant. I just don't think that you willingly let go of that player. And so at that point, we're just sort of guessing. It's could he ask out? I mean, I have no idea. I don't think so right now, but if you're asking me 2 years from now, like you were saying, I don't know. I have no idea. Where would he want to go? What would that even look like? It's all guessing. But I think he has a pretty good chance to stay here if he does sign that extension, because he's sort of choosing it for himself, like he did 2 years ago when he got here. So I've always been pretty bullish that if things went well, he could very easily retire his son.
I mean, he could. I'm not ruling it out, but I don't think it's going to happen, especially for a guy that has never really felt like ours. Like KD, even still now, it doesn't feel like a priority to it feels like a priority to sign him. It doesn't feel like a priority to keep him here forever and end his career here. He's never felt like ours.
Ben, are you busy tomorrow? Do you have plans?
Are you asking me out?
No. I'm asking you because I think you're going to be spending the entire day in the YouTube comments of our show between what you just said about Luka and what you just said about KD. I'm sorry. I've been doing this for a while.
Katie, if you're listening to this,
happening.
Katie, if you're listening to this, which knowing you probably are, I love the guy for his talent, but listen, it's not a priority to keep him here forever. It's just not. Hey, and KD stands, I'm looking at you. For as talented and in his prime that he is, I want him here, but he is not a member of the Suns and has never really felt like he's a member of the Suns, but he's never felt like ours. He doesn't feel like anyone's. He's a career wanderer, which is okay.
That's the thing, right?
He marches to the beat of his own drum. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Brendon chooses in life to be a little bit of a sports nerd, and I choose to be fun and loudmouth, and people like to hang out with me more. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah, you were about to jump on the offer to go out with me, so I think that speaks to the who's more desperate to have somebody to hang out with. I'm busy tomorrow. I got stuff going on.
No,
Sounds like you don't.
Okay, no, I don't. I'll be working again. I'll be working
me
again.
Too. That if we're being honest, it's a Friday. What are we doing here? Okay, that'll wrap us up though. I think it's a fascinating kind of thought experiment. Revisit it next summer if and when the contract gets signed, and obviously the clear elephant in the room between now and then is what are they going to do in the playoffs?
Do you think Katie stands listen this far?
Yeah. They'll probably quote you verbatim and rip you apart, would be my guess. They listen to all of the shows, and we appreciate them very much. They're every day just like everybody else.
Listen, that's fine. I appreciate them too. Anyone here, you know what? Anyone that has a fan account, either on YouTube or on Twitter, and your profile picture, I'm speaking to more specifically the stupid World of Book Twitter accounts that don't have a profile picture, just a picture of Devin Booker. That is weird. And I think it's crazy. I think it's nuts. I think you have to be, but you're probably not very old, because I could never do that at this age. The only fan account I would ever have is one of myself where I'm running and just assume, and it's like my burner. But yeah, I think it's strange. So
I disavow everything Ben has said for the last 5
no,
minutes.
no, it's not true. No, Brendon actually told me to say this.
Yeah,
I love Kevin Durant. I like
happened.
Kevin Durant, the basketball player, but he's not Devin Booker. I'm not worried about him being here forever. Like if I could pick between two guys that I would want to be here forever, it's Devin Booker, not KD. It's not. Like Steve Nash. How much did it hurt that Nash didn't end his career here? It didn't. It's not going to hurt me if Kevin Durant.
No,
doesn't.
I think that's totally fair.
He agrees. He agrees.
Well, I mean, Thunder fans probably feel the same way about KD when he left, right?
Yeah,
I mean, nobody was sitting there like, I really want Paul George to finish his career with the Thunder when he came shortly after KD departed. It's like, okay, that's Paul George. I love Paul George. He got MVP votes in OKC, but it would have been really nice if KD had stuck around. I mean, it's the same thing. I think that's totally fair, but I want him to stay and finish his career here. I need
to get a KD photo up here. That way it'll balance everything out.
Redeem yourself. Okay.
Right now,
hit follow, subscribe, guys. If you haven't already, become an everydayer. We'll be back next week getting you ready for Suns-Lakers NBA Cup, part 3 of Suns-Lakers already, and hopefully some good health news along the way. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you then.